Hello and welcome our blog viewers to RTD's News English edition. Tonight, for the highlights, we got start of vaccination in the administration, Prime Minister's Office, Health. The SEMGA makes an inspection visit to PK9, Army Tajura region. And on the international scene, Brody Island goes up in smoke, 650 firemen helpless against the flames. Those were the highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our blood viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, engaged early Tuesday evening in a telephone conversation, the best wishes of the Muslim New Year, with his Turkish counterpart, His Excellency Recep Tayyip Erdogan. During this conversation, the two leaders wished each other success and wished more progress, development, and prosperity to each other's people. The meeting was then used in an opportunity to discuss the relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries and peoples, as well as ways and means to promote and develop them further. Let us recall that Djibouti and Turkey maintain a strategic partnership in almost all development sectors. A mobile COVID-19 vaccination team arrived at the Prime Minister's office today to receive their doses of COVID-19 vaccine in their workplace. This outreach strategy deployed by the Ministry of Health aims to facilitate access to vaccines for employees of the country's general administration. After the primacy, these vaccination teams, composed of a doctor, vaccinators, and recorders, will visit all ministerial departments and public establishments to further facilitate access to the vaccine for public agents of the state. Vaccine volunteers will be given a parliamentary consultation and a full checkup before being vaccinated and will receive a certificate of vaccination afterwards. Primacy employees welcome this vaccine outreach initiative, which enabled them to protect themselves and their families by getting vaccinated today. The Prime Minister and the Minister of Health encouraged the volunteers for this salutary act, which consists in reinforcing individual and collective immunity against this pandemic. Finally, similar vaccination outreach initiatives may also be planned for all private companies willing to have their employees vaccinated by integrating the schedule of these mobile vaccination teams against COVID-19. The health minister stated in his speech that he is very happy with the presence of the Prime Minister for the start of the vaccination campaign, which is aimed at the employees of the central administration here in the ministerial compound, where all the ministers are grouped after the primacy. This vaccination campaign will be extended to all the other ministries which are located in the ministerial compound and will then be relayed to the other ministries in the capital. Let us listen to the minister. The minister reminded that the COVID-19 pandemic has mutated and other variants are popping up all over the world, such as the Delta variant, hitting the world's population with full force. He then continued by stating that we all want for Djibouti to avoid the same fate. That's the reason behind the launching of this operation of vaccination in order to protect us against this pandemic. In his speech, the Prime Minister stressed the vital importance of vaccination, the wearing of masks, which always fits, as well as the barrier gestures. The Prime Minister specified the interest of the anti-COVID vaccination is to achieve a group immunity with the public administration. We have started to vaccinate this morning, he stated. We have started to vaccinate this morning the employees of the primacy, some of whom were already vaccinated, and this will continue with all the administration and all the ministerial departments. The minister said, as you know, the COVID-19 virus is mutating, and today we have to deal with the Delta variant, which is causing havoc in many countries like India. Today, the only answer is in vaccination, wearing masks and barrier gestures. The Prime Minister stressed that even if he was vaccinated a long time ago, he will still wear a mask all day long, even in the heat of the day, to protect himself and those around him. The Prime Minister encouraged all employees to be vaccinated, to wear protective masks, and to respect the barrier gestures. Moving on to the Ministry of Defense. The Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed Burhan, received this morning the Ambassador of the United States in Djibouti, Mr. Jonathan Pratt. During this meeting, the U.S. Ambassador reviewed with the Minister of Defense several bilateral and regional issues of common interest, including bilateral relations between the Republic of Djibouti and the United States of America. During this meeting, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed, welcomed the privileged relations between Djibouti and the United States, characterized by the regular straining of partnership between the two countries. The Djibouti delegation, led by the Minister of Budget, His Excellency Mr. Abdul Karim Adencher, accompanied by his colleagues, the Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, and Fisheries Resources, His Excellency Mohammed Ahmed, went to Addis Ababa for a working mission. Upon their arrival at Bole Airport, the Djibouti delegation was welcomed by the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ahmed. A working meeting took place in the office of the Minister. Discussions focused on bilateral relations between the two brotherly countries. In particular, many issues were raised, including the electrification of 28 boreholes in the Hadogala-Djibouti water supply network. In addition, the collateral damage suffered by our farms in Seforta and Gofar will be financially compensated by the Ethiopian authorities. On Tuesday, 10th of August 2021, in the region of Arta at the Sunny Hill Center, an exchange and consultation forum was held to integrate the environmental dimension into regional development plans. Jointly organized by the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry in charge of decentralization, this two-day forum was opened by the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Hilm, and the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Mr. Qasim Harun Ali, as well as the President of the Regional Council of Arta, Mr. Elmi Buh, and the Prefect of the region, Mr. Mohammed Sheikho. This forum brought together senior officials from the two ministerial departments, national experts in charge of the elaboration of the RDPs, and the general secretaries of the regional councils, the main actors of these plans, to ensure the legitimacy and relevance of the information exchange. At a time when the preparation of regional development plans has just been launched by the Minister for Decentralization and the Program Implementation Agency, which is also known as EDEL, it was essential to ensure and strengthen the integration of the environmental dimension into the regional development plans. Indeed, greener national development plans will that integrate an environmental aspect will strengthen the capacity of regional councils in our country to meet global environmental obligations in the long term. In his speech, the Minister of Decentralization, Mr. Qasim, stated that the forum was initiated as part of the GEF's program to build the capacity of African countries to meet their global commitments. In talent training national capacities for approval, decision making, and integration of global environmental obligations from which the Republic of Djibouti has benefited since 2018. In his turn, the Minister of Environment stressed that this project aims to strengthen the capacity of targeted national institutions to achieve better environmental results by improving the integration, monitoring, and decentralization of global environment priorities in the Republic of Djibouti. The Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, accompanied by the Acting Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, and the Acting Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Ibrahim Elmi, paid an inspection visit to the PK9 post in the Tajura region. Upon his arrival, the Chief of Staff and his delegation were welcomed by the heads of the defense and security institutions of the Tajura region. He then met with the officers commanding the Tajura Gendarmerie Brigade to get an overview of the situation of the post. During this inspection, the CDS insisted on maintaining cohesion and unity within the forces, staying vigilance in order to fully ensure security in this region, as well as the whole national territory. Moving on to the international scene, in the top news from the global scale, the inhabitants of Evia are trying to help the 650 firemen deployed to fight the flames. Even with the support of a dozen aerial planes and water-bombing helicopters, nothing can stop the progress of the fires that are devastating Greece's second largest island. 2,000 people have already been evacuated, and those who have stayed are still hoping to save their villages from the fire. Dozens of villages have been emptied of their inhabitants who have seen their homes and land reduced to ashes. Prime Minister Kyriakis announced that he had asked Moscow to send a second giant water bomber and that the time to take stock would come once the fire was out. The last French athletes competing in the Tokyo Olympic Games arrived in France yesterday with the Olympic flag. The flag was there hosted at Paris City Hall. The Tokyo Olympic Games are officially over. The last French athletes landed at Roissy Charles de Gaulle Airport on Monday, 9 August, alongside the mayor of Paris and Tony, president of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games organizing committee. As soon as they arrived on the tarmac, they unfurled the Olympic flag, signing the Marseillaise to a round of applause. The U.S. envoy for Afghanistan in traveling to Qatar to urge the Taliban to halt their military offensive and negotiate a political deal. The U.S. State Department announced Monday. In the meantime, the Taliban now control 5 of the 9 provisional capitals in the north of the country, while fighting is underway in the other 4. The U.S. diplomacy is active in the face of the Taliban offensive in Afghanistan. The U.S. convoy is visiting Qatar to urge the Taliban to stop their military offensive and negotiate a political agreement. By this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to stay safe. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.